Today I want to discuss about digestion of carbohydrates. Carbohydrate digestion is a complex process that begins in the mouth and continues in the small intestine. Digestion means breakdown of large complex food molecules into smaller molecules. Carbohydrates are one of the primary macronutrients in our diet and they provide a major source of energy for the body. Almost all the carbohydrates of the diet are either large polysaccharides or disaccharides, which are combination of monosaccharides bound to one another by condensation. This phenomenon means that the hydrogen ion has been removed from the one of the monosaccharide and hydroxyl ion has been removed from next one. The two monosaccharides then combine with each other at the site of removal. H plus and OH minus then combine to form water molecule. When carbohydrates digestion, this process is reversed. The carbohydrates are converted into monosaccharides. Only three major sources of carbohydrates exist in the normal human diet. They are sucrose, which is the disaccharide known popularly as the cane sugar, lactose, which is the disaccharide found in milk, and starch, which are large polysaccharide present in almost all non-animal foods, potatoes, and different type of grains. The diet also contains large amount of cellulose. However, enzyme capable to hydrolyzing cellulose not secreted in human digestive tract. Coming to digestion process, for example, if we take the sandwich, this sandwich contains starch. Starch is made up of two forms of glucose units. These are amylose and amylopectin. Amylose is a linear structure of glucose linked together by alpha 1,4 glycosidic bonds. Amylopectin is a branched chain structure. In amylopectin, glucose molecules are linked together by alpha 1 glycosidic bonds. Now let's see what happens once starch is ingested. Digestion always starts from mouth. First, mouth will break down the starch both physically and chemically. Physically by the teeth and tongue. Chemically by the salivary glands. The salivary glands secrete saliva. It has enzyme that is salivary amylase. What alpha amylase essentially does? It is break down the alpha 1,4 glycosidic bonds. So alpha amylase hydrolyzes of alpha 1,4 glycosidic bonds. Amylase will only break down starch partially. From the mouth, starch will travel to the esophagus. At esophagus, digestion is occur because amylase come with food. Then partially digested food travel towards the stomach here. In stomach, partially digested food is present. Starch is only hydrolyzed partially because once the starch comes down the esophagus into stomach, the amylase become inactive. This is because of acidic environment in stomach. So starch digestion does not occur in the stomach. The stomach will only mix the content around allow the starch to reach the small intestine. Small intestine, most of the digestion and absorption of the starch takes place. If we zoom into the small intestine and see what happens with the starch, we will zooming into the lumen of the small intestine. Within the lumen, small intestine, we can find the cells of intestine called enterocytes. These enterocyte cells also called observing cells because they observe nutrients. These enterocytes also contain these enzymes called brush-bordered enzymes. They play a role in digestion. When starch reaches the small intestine, it is partially digested from, remember, When starch reaches the small intestine, another organ known as pancreas. It will begin to secrete alpha amylase. Alpha amylase secreted from the salivary glands and pancreas. The pancreatic amylase will be secreted into the small intestine to break the alpha 1,4 glycosidic bonds. The intestine enterocyte cells have brush-bordered enzymes. These are participate in digestion of starch. These enzymes include maltase, which will be hydrolyzed maltose, and it has another brush-bordered enzyme known as sucrase and isomaltase. Isomaltase will hydrolyze both alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkase and alpha 1,6 glycosidic linkase. Therefore, starch will be break down with all these enzymes break down into glucose units. Dietary fiber and other indigestible carbohydrates are metabolized by our gut bacteria. This produces certain byproducts such as short chain fatty acids and gas. The remaining fiber is excreted in the feces. Finally, the large complex molecules of carbohydrates break down into simple sugar units.